Alright guys, welcome back to the channel where today we're going to be recapping all of this week's WWE 2K17 news, including some brand new news in which IGN may well have given away the entire roster for this year's game. Now we're going to start off with this week's roster reveal from IGN, a reveal that they've dubbed the Suplex City Census, and where instead of simply telling us which stars are on the roster each week, they're first releasing a cryptic image like the one seen on screen that features clues as to which superstars will be revealed later in the day. As for this week's reveal, IGN announced Aiden English, Booker T, Brian Pillman, Brie Bella, Chris Jericho, Diego, Eric Rowan, Fernando, Heath Slater, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Connor, Larry Zbyszko, Nikki Bella, R-Truth, Simon Gotch, The Ultimate Warrior, and Victor. So that's the first batch of names from the roster reveal, which takes place every Tuesday for the next 4 weeks, meaning if we continue to get 19 names per week, we'll be looking at around 100 characters to be revealed. Now before we move on, let's jump back to the cryptic Suplex City Census image, where I've now marked each of the clues for this week's roster members. We've got the Vaudevillains in a strongman poster on the tent, a Spinaroonie Ferris wheel for Booker T, a loose cannon poster representing Brian Pillman, a Twin Magic poster for the Bella Twins, a Lion Tamer poster for Chris Jericho, as the Lion Tamer was the name of his finisher in WCW. We'll have the Los Matadors, Diego and Fernando, getting gored by a bull, Eric Rowan as the Sinister Sheep Boy, Heath Slater represented by an SL8R shirt on the doll, two clowns wearing the Usos face paint for Jimmy and Jay, an anvil representing Jim the Anvil Neidhart, a Welcome to the Wasteland poster for the Ascension, a light up Larryland sign for Larry Zbyszko, a milk carton featuring a missing persons image of Little Jimmy for R-Truth, and finally a bumper car with the Ultimate Warrior's face paint. So there's all 19 clues for week 1, but depending on how you read into it, there's potentially a few more that you could argue that weren't listed, as we've got gore written on the wall that could simply be a reference to Los Matadors, but a lot of people have picked up that it could hint at Rhino. There's also a red arrow at the top of the image that might have represented Neville, both R's are voted out on the Larryland sign which spell out Layla, as well as a few buzzards flying around at the top of the screen which could refer to Bray Wyatt. So again, this is all open to interpretation, but officially there were only 19 names revealed this week, so the others are either just our imagination run wild, or maybe we'll see IGN announces additional clues hidden in each of the images in the final week. Either way, if you spotted any other clues that might relate to superstars, let me know about them in the comments. Moving on, and alongside the first batch of superstars announced in the roster reveal, IGN also posted the very first screenshots of the game. Firstly, we have Brie Bella, who despite retiring this year is included in the game, and she's even had a brand new face and body scan done, which, as I think you'll agree with a lot of the superstars here, this year's models look so much better, especially here as we switch to Y2J Chris Jericho, whose previous model suffered badly from a swelled out face, but this year looks so much more lifelike and also features updated hair that appears to be much fuller, as well as the return of Jericho's arm tattoo that was missing in 2K16, both from the game itself and from his render. Now that might seem like a mistake on 2K's part, but the reason is actually down to a legal issue, as this week 2K were in court after Solid Oak Sketches, a tattoo studio, filed a claim against them seeking damages after tattoos they gave to NBA stars such as LeBron James and Kobe Bryant appeared on the players' models in the NBA 2K series. Luckily for 2K, the case was dismissed by a judge, but should it have been approved, then 2K would have had to pay out $150,000 per infringement for each copy of NBA sold, which could have actually cost them billions. Going forward, the judge did say that Solid Oak Sketches can seek compensation for loss of profit, but it's an interesting story to follow because whatever happens here sets a precedent for cases like this in the future. As far as 2K17 goes though, as like EA Sports, 2K requires stars to now gain permission from the tattoo artists before they can include their tattoos, so if you notice any superstars missing tattoos this year, then you now know the reason behind it, and it's not just lazy work after all. Moving on to the next batch of screenshots featuring the Usos, and this one actually gives away a brand new feature this year in the addition of face paint that actually fades and rubs off as the match goes on. If we zoom in on both faces of the Usos, you can see the way in which the paint has come off, and you can even notice part of it on the opposite side of Jimmy's face. So it appears this is going to work as Blood did in 2K15, where once a player strikes it, it actually comes off onto them and then transfers to the surfaces that they touch, which should be a really cool addition, especially with someone like Finn Balor, who dressed as the Demon is actually covered in so much face and body paint. Moving on, we'll have Nikki Bella here sporting her Bella Twins We Run It, We Rule It shirt, with Nikki being another star who's been rescanned this year and seemingly looking a lot better. But the reason behind this angle of shot is to show off the game's new lighting techniques, which you can see here as Nikki's body is engulfed in shadow, before we switch to the next screenshot that shows her from the front in full lighting, where you can see the front of her shirt with the Stay Fearless logo and a better view of her updated face scan. The final screenshot shows two things. Firstly, we have Brock Lesnar's updated model, which I personally think is a huge improvement, and one that you can actually check out for yourself in this comparison video, which compares Lesnar's entrance from last year with this year's. Not only does his face now look a hell of a lot less puffed out, but also comparing his abdomen, it looks to be so much more appropriate and better fitting, as opposed to last year, which just looked a lot smaller in height and actually made him look a lot fatter. Now, the second thing to notice in this screenshot is obviously the addition of proper outdoor arenas, as we can see the WrestleMania 31 arena here in full sunlight, which is something that we've not seen to date, as 2K have generally made arenas look dark or actually had them placed indoors. However, now with the new lighting technique, outdoor arenas are finally here, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they compare with the indoor arenas and how the lighting actually varies on both the superstars, the stage and the ring itself. One other thing to note from this screenshot is that the decision to include WrestleMania 31's arena in the game strongly suggests that we'll see a Brock Lesnar showcase mode to go along with him being the cover star, as this could be his entrance for his showcase match with Roman Reigns. Staying with Lesnar, and IGN also released his entrance video, which I previously mentioned in the comparison footage, but the most interesting part of that wasn't Lesnar's entrance itself. Instead, it was the addition of a new crowd fighting area behind the barricade. Now, as the camera pans around, you can see here we've got the addition of a little area containing a table, chairs, a trash can, bins, a water bottle, and an equipment box that may contain some additional weapons, or even feature as an environmental move like we've seen in past games where you can throw someone into it. Now, at this current moment, there's not a lot that we actually know about this other than what we can see, but hopefully there's a few environmental finishers or OMG moments that occur, such as using the water bottle to spit water in someone's face, throwing them into the bins, and so on. Also, as seen last year, there's a walkway behind the crowd, therefore there is a chance that this area could connect with that and allow players the ability to wrestle all the way up to the stage and then fight on the side of it, which is something that we haven't seen in the last few games, as players have been blocked from climbing off the ramp by an invisible wall. The last thing to note from Brock's entrance are a few more roster clues, as the t-shirts from the crowd include shirts for Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens, alongside Seth Rollins' brand new redesign, reclaim and rebuild shirt, meaning while we thought Seth may have returned too late to have his new look in the game, that may not be the case, and we could see an updated Seth with both his new attire and funny dark hair. Finally, there is one more shirt that stands out, or actually two, as we have two AJ Styles shirt designs included in the crowd. We've got this AJ design and his more familiar P1 logo, meaning it looks as though the phenomenal one AJ Styles is now confirmed for 2K17. Finally, ahead of next week's roster reveal, it appears as though IGN may have accidentally leaked a big clue as to both how many stars we'll see on this year's roster and who they are. Now, this is due to them uploading the render images for this week's reveals and actually naming them with the roster numbers. So as you can see here, we'll have Aiden English listed as 0001, Booker T is 0020, and the highest number on the list is Victor at 0124. Now, because this is all in alphabetical order, we'll definitely see both Xavier Woods and Zack Ryder after Victor, which could take the roster count to 126, as well as the possible inclusion of X-Pac, who was seen last year, meaning we could be looking at around 127 superstars this year before including DLC. Credit for noticing this goes to ItsMyYard, so I'll leave a link to his channel in the video description so you can check out his video, as he's actually compiled a full list of all the numbers and worked out which names fit in between each, and I have to say it is a very credible list and it may well turn out to be the full roster for this year's game. So go check out Yard's video and you can see why he's placed people in the positions he has, and also find out which superstars from 2K16 appear to have been dropped from 2K17. Anyway guys, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed this week's recap. Let me know your thoughts on all this week's news in the comments as we gear up for week 2 of the roster reveal this coming Tuesday at 5 PM. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, as I'll be covering all the news for WWE 2K17 as it drops. But until next time, have an awesome day and I'll catch you later.
Weighing in at 286 pounds, Brock Lesnar!
With Brock Lesnar, this one has the ability to turn ugly very fast.
You know, why would anyone want to sign on to face Brock Lesnar? It's beyond me. Oh, it feels like everybody in Tampa is packed into this arena tonight. You talk about standing room only.